Buenos Aires. December 10. Argentinian libertarian economist Javier Milei took office on Sunday and said in his first speech that, with inflation near 200, he had no alternative but a sharp and painful fiscal shock to fix the country's worst economic crisis in decades. There is no alternative to a shock adjustment, he said as he marched into Congress after receiving presidential baton and sash, with crowds of supporters cheering even as Milei said the economy would worsen in short term. Milei, 53, a former TV commentator who rose to fame with profane tirades against rivals, China and the Pope, is taking over from Peronist leader Alberto Fernandez, whose government has failed to rein in rising prices. The outgoing government left us on the path to hyperinflation, Milei said. We will do our best to prevent such a disaster from happening, he said. While speech was light on details, he said key steps would include financial regulation equivalent to 5% of country's GDP, which he said would fall on state, not private sector. The wild-haired foreigner signals a big gamble for Argentina. His shock therapy economic plan to sharply cut spending has worked well for investors and could stabilize the struggling economy. But it risks putting more people in dire straits, more than 2/5 of whom are already in poverty. But voters who carried Milei to victory in November's runoff against ruling Peronist coalition candidates said they were willing to roll the dice against his sometimes radical ideas, such as closing central bank and dollarization. He is the last hope we have left, said 72-year-old Dr. Marcelo Altamira, who criticized useless and incompetent governments for years of economic crises. He said the outgoing Peronist government was destroying the country. BUST Argentina's net foreign exchange reserves are estimated at 10 billion. Annual inflation is 143 and rising. A recession is looming, and capital controls are distorting the exchange rate. Argentina has gone through boom and bust cycles for decades, printing money to finance regular deficits that have driven up inflation and weakened the peso. This situation has worsened in recent years as reserves have decreased due to a major drought at the beginning of this year, negatively affecting soybean and corn, the main income-generating crops. In his speech, Milei warned that inflation could reach 15,000% a year if not tamed, and vowed to fight tooth and nail to eliminate it. He also warned of a 100 billion debt. The major grain exporter needs to renew its creaking 44 billion loan program with International Monetary Fund. Milei, on the other hand, needs to direct its relations with China and Brazil, important trade partners that he criticized during campaign. Milei takes over from the unpopular center-left President Fernandez, but will need to negotiate with his rivals as his libertarian coalition has only a small bloc in Congress. He formed an alliance with Th.